Alright, so seriously, I want to give Fractal Design a nice big hug. They're introducing things that people have been asking for, or at least I have been asking for a really long time. Wood, different textures, different fabrics, different colors, something different. And the Terra is exactly that. It's itching that ITX niche space that is both accessible, easy to work in, and it's not too crazy in terms of price. So the Terra is $179, this very tiny, compact, sandwich style ITX enclosure with a Gen 4 riser cable, beautiful textures, and of course the wood elements. Lots of little different things that makes the user experience really streamlined, and you're not fighting the enclosure. All you have to worry about are some of the components and clearance for your hardware, but that's about it. And the Terra name actually means, in the sci-fi terms, planet Earth. So you can see here they're introducing the planet Earth colors in here. So silver, graphite, and this green jade. I think this is the first time in the ITX space when you're not only going to be configuring like what components I should put into my ITX enclosure, but you're going to be thinking which color to choose between these three. And I think that's a very important decision. The entire team has been asking which color is best. Ebor, I think, is settling on the jade. I think that's going to be like the most popular because it's so unique. It's not your traditional black. It's not a traditional silver or white enclosure, but it's a beautiful, warm, natural, leafy, foresty green, and combined with that beautiful walnut wood plaque at the bottom. As you can see, it is an absolutely beautiful complement. Now the wood here is sustainable walnut. It will vary in texture because it's wood, and that's awesome. You're gonna have your own unique wooden plaque that no one else will have on their Terra. The color of the wood is also very different from one case to the other, and depending on the light angle, it will reflect certain hues of that grain differently, and I absolutely love that. I also love me proper RGB fans. They're not wood or these really funky colors, but they do lead properly into today's video sponsor. I mean, this new fan is something else, with regular and reverse models available to create that clean look without compromising the airflow direction. Like these bottom fans are set to intake, but look like the rest of the fans on the enclosure. It's brilliant. They cleverly daisy chain with snap-on bridges, and all these bits cover up the uglies, so you never have to worry about the looks or the cable management, as it's just one cable. This is what the premium Dirge 30mm performance fan should look like, the new Fantix D30. Alright, welcome back. The exterior of the Terra is full aluminum, the interior is steel, but the aluminum panels are properly premium. And that premium experience really translates into the handling of the Terra. So for example, the side panels open, swivel like this, and they have little pogo pins at the bottom, so it's a completely toolless assembly. They can be secured with a screw at the bottom if you don't want this thing to open during transport. They can also be just removed with this little clip, so both side panels remove like that. The top panel is secured by little toolless mechanism as well that you push back and release, so it's got really nice density when it is installed, and you can really quickly and easily get to frame only level and start working with the Terra. And quality wise, this thing absolutely stands out. So I have 3 models and I have not noticed a single imperfection in terms of paneling gaps, in terms of like feeling sharp edges. Everything is super smooth, machined beautifully. The edges on the wood panel, for example, are perfectly curved to the frame curve, so they match exactly. And also the wood is super smooth to the touch. It is treated and sealed properly, as we're told at least. I don't know. The silver one has the sandblasted texture, so does the jade, which look really pretty as it reflects with those tiny shimmers. I am very happy to report though that the black one is matte black, super smooth to the touch, does not leave any fingerprints, or a little bit, but a quick wipe is not an issue at all. Gone is the really aged brushed aluminum texture look that is just not really easy to handle and gets super dirty quickly. This one doesn't. The color accents continue into the aluminum front power button along with the I/O. So it's a USB-C, which is 2x2, so full 20 gigabits per second on that port, and your standard USB-A at 5 gigabits. Branding is also very limited, only the Fractal logo on the left back panel and on the power button. And also, can we appreciate this gorgeous ventilation pattern that actually flows very nicely. So design-wise, it looks really consistent. And for $179, that is again really impressive. And that's why I'm so happy that they're introducing the Terra into the ITX space, because now this type of quality is going to be massively available to the masses. Massively available. Now, size-wise, it's a very compact enclosure at only 11.4 liters in volume. So standing right next to a dual chamber O11D Evo, you can see why ITX is getting more traction because of all that power density. But also, let's be real, hardware compatibility for such a tiny case is definitely more limiting. And that is where Fractal has introduced this new clever adjustable central spine to give you either more room for the CPU cooler or the GPU. And here's a very useful chart for compatibility between position 1 to 7. My CPU tower is 70 millimeters in height, so my position is somewhere between 2 and 3, and it's good because the whole thing is flexible. It's just on the rail system, so you can still dial it in between, a few millimeters here and there. So all that means if you're going with a dual slot GPU, you can safely use CPU coolers up to 77 millimeters in height. So pretty much any of these low profile coolers will fit, up to the Be Quiet Shadow Rock LP, which is about 76 millimeters in height, while going with a triple slot card reduces our cooler height on the CPU side to just 48 millimeters. And those options are very limited to just a few. So you kind of have to prioritize either GPU size or CPU cooling or something in between. Now, the main competitor is the Lanely A4H20. So it's actually cheaper. It can fit a 240mm radiator at the top. It's still the sandwich style design, and it's the same size at around 11 liters. Going slightly bigger, we have the new A4 SFX from Dan Case that can fit massive radiators, large CPU coolers, and have really good support for GPU sizes. And that's a slightly more expensive enclosure, but that comes with its territory because of how much it can fit inside. So I find the main advantage with the Terra would be its design and simplicity of assembly and that middle spine adjustability. But otherwise, you should definitely look into the A4H20 or the new Dan Case. Now, by default, we have 4 of these orange clips that secure the spine in its default orientation. You do have to remove them if you want to use any of the other positions. And there are 4 of them, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. Of course, storage is very limited with cases of this size, but you can fit 2 2.5-inch SSDs, so one beside the power supply here with these Velcro straps. I find this mounting to be quite unique, and the second one to be underneath the power supply with this included bracket. To be honest, I was skeptical of mounting the SSD with the Velcro straps, but it is held in nice and tight, and also it is pressed up against one of the sides of the frame on the left, so it's not going anywhere. For additional cooling, you can squeeze a regular 120mm fan at the bottom underneath the power supply. I would not recommend it if you're not fully experienced with handling all the cable mess that is facing down, because that does limit the amount of space you have for exiting cables. For example, here's how much room is left with our SFX power supply. This is not even SFXL. SFXL would stick out for at least a centimeter more, but like you're gonna have to do some really crazy cable management gymnastics in here for the fan to fit underneath. No way, Jose. But I will say the Terra is adequately elevated from the bottom for additional intake, passive or active. And also we have these tiny rubber strips for the case feet, so you're not going full surface to surface contact. There is a bit of padding. Mounting the graphics card that would fit in the enclosure is not really a problem in terms of clearance, but you do have to remove the riser cable bracket. And that's a little bit annoying because we don't have access for our screws to mount the GPU onto the bracket first. So you're gonna have to do a little bit of reassembly every time you need to take this off. Here's what I mean. The thumb screw access to secure the GPU in place, it's covered by the case frame, so you have to remove the bracket first. And this is also a pretty traditional sandwich style design, but now with the addition of the adjustability for that middle spine to either give you additional height for the CPU cooler or additional width for your GPU. And you can also assemble the entire thing and maneuver it as well to give you, that perfect fitment. And now let's look at the temperatures on the GPU side. So it's not really a fair comparison versus everything else in this chart because all of these are running with a 240 all-in-one cooler. But the main thing is that the open side panel configuration drops our temperatures by almost 10 degrees Celsius, which is pretty significant. So the panel is fairly restricted. And comparing with the Raw S1 and the Shift XT that was also running the L12S cooler, the Terra is not that bad, but definitely would benefit with the extra bottom fan if you can somehow fit it. The CPU side, however, is much more impressive with that fan mounted as intake on the CPU cooler, so you'll be totally under control, but it does worsen your GPU temperatures because now we're adding hot air into the case, and setting the L12S fan to exhaust air instead means a much hotter running CPU, as shown here with the Shift XT and the Raw S1 tests. Now, despite the mediocre GPU temperatures, I love the design, the adjustable spine in the center. I think that's a new thing for ITX Space. The sustainable packaging with the easy-to-use carport handles. I do wish we had an exhaust fan location somewhere to help with GPU temperatures, and I do think that the optional 120mm radiator mount with a very limited GPU size is kind of useless. But otherwise, I feel like it's a premium little case that gives you that premium experience too. I'm gonna give it the damn good award. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next video.